Hello there, my name is Payal Naraine and welcome to this video series. यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया की थर्ड एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है। इस किताब को हम थ्रूली रीड करेंगे और जहाँ ज़रूरत पड़ेगी वहाँ हम साथ ही साथ यूपीएससी एंड स्टेट सर्विसेज में आए हुए प्रीवियस ईयर के क्वेश्चंस भी डिस्कस करेंगे। एंड इस सीरीज़ में वीडियोस लगभग 30 to 35 मिनट्स के होंगे, बड़े इफेक्टिव होंगे और हम ऑलमोस्ट 40 to 45 लेक्चर्स में ये पूरी किताब कवर करेंगे। और अगर आपने ये सीरीज़ 3 to 4 टाइम्स देख ली तो बिल्कुल ये किताब आपके दिमाग में छप जाएगी एंड ट्रस्ट मी, आपकी एक्यूरेसी भी काफ़ी इंक्रीज़ हो जाएगी। साथ ही साथ आपका रिवीजन भी काफ़ी आसान हो जाएगा। सो अगर आपको रिवीजन के साथ साथ वैल्यू एडिशन भी करना है तो ये सीरीज़ पूरी फॉलो करें। आपको बस आपके पास ये किताब रखकर मुझे सुनना है एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स मार्क करने हैं। So without any further delay, let's get started. Hello there, welcome back to the channel Ghatna Sutra. यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया थर्ड एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है। और हमने लास्ट वीडियो में कवर कर लिया था द लाइफ ऑफ बुद्धा। नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ बुद्धिज्म। सो लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड। और हाँ, डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ बुद्धिज्म को मार्क दिस एज एक्सट्रीमली इम्पोर्टेंट, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर सवाल यूपीएससी 2013 में भी पूछा गया था एंड सेम यूपीएससी 2014 के मेंस में भी इसका सवाल आया था। सो प्रीलिम्स के क्वेश्चंस के लिए वी डिड अ स्टार मार्क एंड मेंस के क्वेश्चन के लिए हमने हैश मार्क यूज़ किया है। सो नोट इट डाउन इन योर कॉपीज टू। सो लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड। डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ बुद्धिज्म। द कोर ऑफ बुद्धा's डॉक्ट्रिन इज एक्सप्रेस्ड इन द आर्या सचानी फोर नोबल ट्रूथ्स। अष्टांगिका मार्ग, eightfold path, middle path, social code of conduct, and attainment of nirvana. Buddha explains that his teachings are just like raft, which help one to cross over the turbulent river of life and suffering. Once across, we do not need to cart the raft around with us. In other words, Buddha urges that one should not cling to anything, including his teaching. The teachings are only upayas, skillful means or expedient tools, and are thus not dogmas. It is fingers pointing at the moon, and one should not confuse the fingers for the moon. His teaching contains three important pillars: Buddha, founder/teacher; Dhamma is teaching; and Sangha, order of Buddhist monks, nun, who act as a torchbearer of Dhamma worshippers or upasakas, and are major factors in the dissemination of Buddha's doctrine. While struggling for enlightenment, Buddha has discovered Dhamma, Four Noble Truths, which form the central teaching of Buddhism. The Four Noble Truths are given in the following picture. Buddha's Four Noble Truths. Life has inevitable suffering. There is a cause to our suffering. There is an end to our suffering. The end to suffering is contained in the eightfold paths. Sorry. So, the truth of suffering, dukkha. Buddha taught that everything is suffering, sabbam dukkham. It refers not only to the actual pain and sorrow experienced by an individual, but also to the potential to experience these things. The truth of the cause of suffering, samudaya. Suffering is a part of living and there is a reason behind it. Desire, trishna, is main cause of suffering. The truth of the end of suffering, nirodha. This suffering can be ended by attaining nirvana, nibbana. The truth of the path leading to the end of suffering, ashtangika marga. There is a path that leads to the end of suffering. Buddha urged people to study, meditate, and think and act in a way that can help them come to a full understanding of each of these four noble truths, and to stay on the path that will lead them to peace and happiness. Paradoxically, the Eightfold Path is more about unlearning rather than learning. That is to learn in order to unlearn and uncover. This path consists of 8 interconnected activities and is a process that helps one to move beyond the conditioned responses that obscure his or her true nature. The Ashtangika Marg comprises the following. First, right vision, Sammaditi. It signifies perfect view or understanding of the nature of reality and the path of transformation. Second, right thought or attitude, Samma Sankappa. It signifies having an emotional intelligence and acting from love and compassion. Right or whole speech, Sammavacha. It signifies clear, truthful, uplifting, and non harmful communication. So, as you can see, here we have a diagram of Ashtangika Marg. Fourth, right or integral action, Samma Kamanta. It signifies an ethical foundation of life based on the principle of non exploitation of one's self and others. It included the 5 precept training rules, which are like an ethical code of conduct, governing the behavior of members of the monastic order and the laity following are the 5 precepts. Do not commit violence. To undertake the training to avoid taking the life of beings. This precept applies to all living beings and not just humans, and as all beings have a right to live their lives and the right should be respected. Do not covet the property of others. To undertake the training to avoid taking things not given. The precept goes further that mere stealing, as it preaches that one should avoid taking anything unless one is totally sure that it is intended for him only. Do not indulge in corrupt practices and sensual behavior. To undertake the training to avoid sensual misconduct. This precept covers overindulgence in any sensual pleasure such as gluttony or misconduct of a sexual nature. For lightree, celibacy was replaced by chastity. Do not speak a lie. To undertake the training to refrain from false speech. This precept covers slanders, lying, deceiving, and speech that is not beneficial to the welfare of others. Do not use intoxicant. To undertake the training to abstain from substance which caused intoxication and heedlessness. This precept is in this special category as it does not infer any intrusive evil in, say, alcohol itself, but believe that indulgence in such a substance could be the cause of breaking the other 4 precepts. In addition to these, monks and nuns were supposed to strictly observe 3 additional precepts, which are to avoid eating after midday. Second, to abstain from dancing, singing, music, and other entertainment, as well as to refrain from using perfumes, ornaments, and other items used to adorn or beautify a person. Third, to abstain from using high or luxurious beds and from handling gold and silver, including money. Fifth, right livelihoods or proper livelihood, Samma Ajiva. It signifies a livelihood based on correct action and on the ethical principle of non-exploitation. According to Buddha, it is formed the basis of any ideal society. Right efforts or energy vitality, Samma Vayama. It signifies consciously directing our life energy to the transformative path of creating and healing action that fosters wholeness, thus moving towards conscious evolution. 7th, right mindfulness or complete true awareness, Samma Sati. It signifies developing awareness about oneself and keenly watching self-behavior. Buddha says that if you hold yourself dear, watch yourself well. 8th, right concentration or meditation, Samma Samadhi. It signifies samadhi in the sense of enlightenment or Buddhahood. Samadhi literally means to be fixed, absorbed in or established at one point. Thus, the first level of meaning is concentration, when the mind is fixed on a single object. The second level of meaning goes further and represents the establishment not just of the mind but also of the whole being in various levels of moods of consciousness and awareness. The path taught by Buddha is often referred to as the middle path, the one between extreme indulgence and extreme asceticism. It should be noted that the right here signifies proper, whole, throughout, integral, complete, and perfect. It does not necessarily mean right as opposed to wrong. For instance, the opposite of right awareness is not necessarily wrong awareness. It may simply be incomplete. Buddha had emphasized that if a person follows the Eightfold Path, then he will reach his destination of attaining Nibbana, Nirvana, without the mechanization of the priest. Nirvana is the ultimate goal of Buddha's teaching. Pali word Nibbana is formed of Ni and Vana. Ni is a negative particle and Vana means lusting or craving. It is called Nibbana as it is a departure from craving or lusting. Literally, Nibbana means non-attachment. It does not mean physical death, rather, it signifies dying out or extension of desire, attachment, greed, ignorance, hatred, and even the sense of ego. It should be noted that Buddhism accepts the transmigration and impermanence, but rejected the idea of God and soul, Atma. According to Buddha, the soul is a myth. In Buddhist universe, there are many realms, worlds, many different kinds of being. One can be born as any one of them. Traditionally, Buddhism teaches the existence of 10 realms of being. At the top is Buddha, and the scale descends as follows. Bodhisattva, an enlightened being destined to be a Buddha, but purposely remaining on earth to teach others. Pratyeka Buddha, a Buddha on their own. Sarvaka, direct disciple of Buddha. Heavenly being, supreme human angels. Human being, Asura, fighting spirit, beast, Pretas, hungry ghost, and depraved men. Hellish being. These 10 realms are mutually immanent and mutually inclusive, each one having in the remaining 9 realms. For example, the realm of human being has all other 9 states, from hell to Buddhahood. Man is at the same time capable of real selfishness, creating his own hell, or is truly compassionate, reflecting the compassion of Buddha. Buddhism states that the man is characteristically placed at the midpoint of the 10 stages. He can either lower himself abruptly or gradually into hell, or rise to the enlightened state of being of the Buddha through discipline, cultivation, and the awakening of faith. The connection between different lives is established by karma, as opposed to ritual actions of Brahmanical tradition. Karma in Buddhist tradition is a result of an action depending on the intention more than the action itself. Buddhism entails less feeling of guilt and puts great emphasis on mind. Buddha stresses that it is mental anguish, such as remorse, anxiety, guilt, etc., which is to be avoided in order to cultivate a calm and peaceful mind. Rebirth is governed by cumulative results of the karma of a particular life. It is rather interesting to note that even though Buddhism emphasizes on non-violence, ahimsa, yet it does not necessarily entail vegetarianism, and monks were not forbidden from eating meat. बुद्धिज़्म एंड वुमेन. अच्छा, अब आप इसको स्टार मार्क कर लीजिए बुद्धिज़्म एंड वुमेन वाले टॉपिक को, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर UPPCS 2010 में सवाल पूछा गया था. राइट, सो दिस इज़ एन इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक. Buddhism and women. It is equally interesting to note that women did not participate in the early beginning of Sanghas, as it is believed that initially Buddha was reluctant to have a female in Sangha and thought that they would corrupt the monks and would destroy it. The same aspect is very clearly visible in his debate with his disciple Ananda over the admission of women. It was Ananda who finally persuaded Buddha to at least allow his own mother Mahaprajapati Gautami to the Sangha. Gradually recognized the abilities and talents of the women in the Sangha, Buddha gave them responsible positions in the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Over the time, Bhikkhunis like Dhammadina, Sumangala, Mathika, Vasanti, Sumedha, Khema, and Utpalavarna started preaching Dhamma. Later, several sex workers who were looked down upon by society also joined the Sangha and acquired a respectable place. For instance, Padmavati of Ujjain, Arthakasi of Kasi, and Ambali or Amrapali of Vaishali came from this background and enjoyed a higher reputation. In fact, Buddha eventually insisted that there should be Buddhist nuns as well as monks. In his words, I will not take final nirvana until I have nuns and female disciples who are accomplished, until I have lay women followers who will teach the Dhamma. Thus, in spite of all the limitations and conditions the Sangha imposed on women, their admission nevertheless liberated them as individuals having equal spiritual words, equally capable of realizing the truth. Buddhism and Brahmanism. Buddhist monks considered Varna based on action, unlike Brahmanas who conferred on it. A divine sanction dividing people based on birth In Angadaru Nikya, it is mentioned that when a person joins the Sangha, he becomes Vimanayati, without Varna. The Sangha had members from all castes, such as Mahakasapa, Sariputta, Mahamoggallana, prominent Brahmana monk, the Buddha, Ananda, Aniruddha, prominent Kshatriya monks, Upaliya Babar, Chunda, a blacksmith who fed the Buddha his last meal. The Pali canon also reverses the order of rank, places the Kshatriya Varna higher than the Brahmana. Even though Buddhism was certainly more inclusive than the Brahmanical tradition, yet it supported social order based on classes and did not aim at abolishing social differences. Certain Buddhist tradition rules tried to maintain the status quo. For instance, there were a number of conditions for entry, such as the ban on the entry of debaters, slaves, soldiers without permission from the respective masters. This was naturally biased against these social dropouts. Similarly, both Brahmanism and Buddhism emphasized on the virtue of carrying out familial obligation, protecting private property, and respecting political authority. Both also did not participate directly in production and lived on alms given by the society. Buddha and Upanishads. Both Upanishads and Buddhism emerged as a reaction against Brahmanical dominance. They both condemned priestly dominance as well as rituals and ceremonies. They both emphasized on non-violence and efficacy of path of knowledge for the attainment of salvation. However, both differ also in certain respects. Buddhism does not believe in existence of soul, whereas Upanishads believe in idea of soul and transmigration of soul. Buddhism rejected the idea of God. Upanishadic philosophy revolves around the idea of one supreme deity known as Brahma, and every individual is considered an expression of Brahma. In Buddhist philosophy, salvation is known as nirvana, which is extension of desire. A person can attain nirvana within lifetime itself. On death, a person attains mahaparinirvana. In Upanishadic philosophy, salvation is moksha, which signifies merging of individual soul with supreme soul, Brahma. In Buddhism, there is no concept of heaven or hell in Buddhism, and it says nothing about the creation of universe or its sustenance. Upanishadic philosophy does contain ideas of heaven and hell, and it believes that Brahma is a creator and sustainer of the universe. Reason for spread and popularity of Buddhism. Buddhism left an abiding mark on the history of India, and it gradually became popular in Magadha and other parts of the country. With the support of the Emperor Ashoka, it has further spread its wing to Central Asia, Western Asia, and Sri Lanka, gradually transforming into the world religion. Various reasons are attributed to the spread. Buddhism appealed to the common man, as unlike Brahmanism, it was far more liberal and democratic. Since it attacked the Varna system and did not depreciate manual labors, in particularly won the support of the lower caste. It was open to people of all castes, and even women were admitted to the sanghas. This section of society was neither given a sacred thread nor was allowed to read Vedas, so conversion to Buddhism freed them from the mark of inferiority. Buddhism also found a virgin soil for conversion in terms of a non-Vedic people. The people of Magadha readily accepted Buddhism, as they were either looked down upon by the orthodox Brahmanas, who considered Magadha to be the out of holy Aryavartas. The Buddha's personality and his rational doctrine helped immensely in the popularity of Buddhism. He tried to win over opponents by his wit and presence of mind, and by maintaining poise and calm under difficult situations. Buddhism taught the people to judge and reason based on the merits and logic. Unlike Brahmanism, whose texts were in Sanskrit and hence accessible only to a few Brahmanas, the Buddha's teachings were in Pali, the language of common man, which further aided in the spread of Buddhism. The patronization of monarchies of Magadha, Kosala, Kaushambi, and several other Gana Sangha and their people contributed to its further popularity. Many Buddhist monks were invited by the rulers of neighboring countries, which further helped in the spread of Buddhism. Buddhism tried to mitigate the evils resulting from the newer material life of the 6th century BCE. Since the Buddhists have had a keen awareness of the problem, social and economic disparities, they presented innovative solutions to those concerns. Buddhism asked people not to accumulate wealth, indulge in cruelty or violence, ideas that were welcomed by the people. reasons for the decline of Buddhism. It is rather ironical that from the early 12th century, Buddhism began to disappear from the land of its birth. Various reasons are responsible for this. Buddhism succumbed to the same ritual and dogmas which it had originally denounced. In the beginning, it was inspired by the spirit of reform, but gradually it became the victim of the same evil of Brahmanism, which it had earlier fought. It changed for worse over the period of time. Buddhist monks gave up Pali, the language of people, and took to Sanskrit, the language of few intellectuals. Later, the 1st century CE, they also practiced large-scale idol worship and received numerous offerings from the devotee. This resulted in corruption of the ascetic life of Buddhist monk. The principles prescribed by Buddha were conveniently forgotten and thus started the degradation of the Buddhist monks and their preaching. Some Brahmana rulers such as Pushyamitra Shunga, the Huna king, Mihirakula, worshipper of Shiva, and Shivait Shashanka of Gauda, persecuted the Buddhists on the large scale. The liberal donation to the monasteries gradually declined. Also, some rich monasteries were specially targeted by the Turkish and other invaders. The loss of royal patronage also contributed to the decline of Buddhism. Revival of Brahmanical religion in a new form known as Vaishnavism attracted common masses towards it as it was free from ritual, sacrifice, and priestly domination, and emphasized a direct relation between the god and devotee through bhakti. Now we are going to talk about the key terms, concept and its meaning. So mark this extremely important क्योंकि इसके ऊपर ये जो terms है इसके ऊपर UPSC में 2020 and 2013 में सवाल पूछा गया था और साथ ही UPUD A/LDA में 2001 में सवाल पूछा गया था. So mark this important and इन terms को याद रखिए with its meaning. Right? Let's start. Chaityas, prayer halls of monks. Viharas, monasteries. Pravaraja, ceremony to mark a person's going forth from home into homelessness and his/her becoming a novice under a preceptor involved shaving the head and donning odd robes. Upasampada, ordination ceremony where the novice become a full-fledged member of the monastic community. Uposatha, ceremony held on full moon and new moon. Prajika, literally meaning defeat. It includes 4 most serious offences involving expulsion from the sanghas, sexual intercourse, taking what is not given, killing someone, and making false claim of spiritual attainment. Pavarana. Pavarana is a Buddhist holy day celebrated on Ashwin full moon of the lunar month. It marked the end of the rainy season, sometimes called Buddhist Lent. On this day, each monk must come before the community of monks, Sangha, and atone for an offense he may have committed during the Vasa, rainy season. Upasaka, male followers who have taken refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, but who have not taken monastic vows. Upasika, female followers who have taken the refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, but who have not taken monastic vows. Bodhisattva, enlightened being who have renounced their own salvation and put off entering paradise in order to help others attain enlightenment. They devote all their power and energy to save suffering being in the world. As deities of compassion, bodhisattvas are typically represented with precious jewelry, elegant garments, and graceful posture. Bhikkhu Sangha, Sangha of monks.